And thanks to everyone on the call, really. It's great to see friends, Learning City friends at this point. Some of us have met in person, and many of us have only met virtually. So it's really a special opportunity for us to speak again online. I want to thank you for the opportunity to join you and just give you some thoughts. I was really taken with some of the inputs already, and I would double down on some of the messages. So I might share just some visual ideas around this, and let's have a chat afterwards as well. Um, so our story as a learning city goes back quite a way. So you just bear with me. We date our really efforts to 2002, and we have learned a lot along the way. And I'm keen maybe to reflect on the core questions that in preparation for today we considered what works and what doesn't work. And again, I suppose looking at first the context of our efforts in Cork, secondly, some of the projects and initiatives that have both worked and also have taught us lessons. Um, I want to reflect a little bit on the role of networks, which is a really key part of our journey. And then lastly, I want to point to the more recent development of the Cork Access Network. And I'm happy to be joined by a colleague, Karen Duke, on the call. And it would be great if Karen was okay to take some of the questions you may have. So Cork from the air looks like a lot of other cities. It's not a huge city. Oftentimes Lowell and Cork, we say we compare pretty well. Um, and our story over the years, I suppose we were a global city when there was a lot of transatlantic trade, and that ambition and that kind of global perspective has remained with us. So we would have been part of the UNESCO family since the start, but our journey as a learning city predated that. So when we were selected to host the international conference in 2017, that built on the achievement of the Learning City Award 2 years previously with UNESCO, and being part of that evolution of the global network of learning cities. So I want to touch back with that again later. But just in terms of any learning city, I would go back to these challenges, that there isn't a blueprint. The work is really complex. Organizations can really be silos. Motivation and innovation are a key, and that no one organization is able to do this on its own. I think that was reflected in the earlier inputs as well. So we're at the point where we're working towards being a learning region. And what does that mean? So there's three layers to this. There's the region that the Cork finds itself in terms of the EU, which is the southern region of the Republic of Ireland. And that includes Limerick City and now Waterford City, who are both also members of the UNESCO Global Network. And we work together in the context of the Irish network. So that there's a region there, the Irish network covers the whole island of Ireland, north and south, and that includes two jurisdictions post-Brexit. And that's been really important. And then in terms of the other region, the UN region is Europe and North America. And we have really done our best to reach out a hand of friendship and to connect with you all. And I've been really motivated and inspired by your ongoing work to develop your own cities or your own organizations as learning city advocates, in the expectation and hope that the UNESCO family will be able to accept you all as members. So that's kind of our background. So what works, I suppose, in terms of thinking about our experiences over the years, what works is when you have a multi-sectoral partnership that relates to all layers of education, and it also works like some of the Lowell examples and some of the other examples when there are practical, concrete projects that otherwise wouldn't happen, and that this new partnership can deliver to make a difference to the lives of citizens in your own area, your own city, or your own city region. So some of them are listed there. I won't go over them all. I'll touch on a few. So our festival is something we're very proud of. And again, we've reflected a bit with Madeline on how festivals can enhance the experience of lifelong learning in the city. Um, we'll touch a bit on our learning neighbourhoods and on the Cork Access Network. And towards the end, we might talk a little bit about awards, because we also have awards in Cork. But our context goes back to some really key principles around access that's available for all levels and to all ages. And then the third point there is the other one I want to focus on, where we really work hard to connect formal partners, but we also connect non-formal partners and informal partners, all stakeholders, in an equal way. And that concept of equality goes across our other work in terms of networks as well. What else works for us is the idea of a memorandum of understanding. So our 4 lead partners signed this, and we didn't put an end date on it. So that's the exciting thing. All the people that signed that in 2015 have all moved on. They're no longer in office, any of them. But the MOU remains our building block, our core foundation for all our work subsequent to that. And it was added to by the Health Service Executive and by the National Association of Principals and Deputy Principals in 2017. And just this week, on Thursday, for Irish Learning Cities Day, we'll have the Cork Chamber, so our business representative body that connects with a lot of US companies, actually, and industries in the Cork region. They're also going to sign the MOU as a partner, a funding partner of our efforts. So these are things I know Lowell has implemented as well, that idea of partnership, but these are things that we've found that works for us. So back to the festival. Our festival has grown. It's an idea of, top-down ideas leading to bottom-up actions. And this was the bottom-up action that really took hold. And any city, small city, large town, exploring the idea of being a learning community or a learning organization, I would always advocate to try a festival. So ours grew very naturally. All the events had to be free. All the events had to be open to everybody, and they were going to be treated equally, regardless of who the host was. So we didn't give funding to any host to host an event. So it started small, and now it's quite large, over 400 events this year, 2024. And our feedback shows that we reached almost 29,000 citizens in Cork this year. So it grew because people wanted it. And that middle out layer of middle management in a lot of the organizations made that happen. And as is the case with Lowell, that includes everything from the arts through history, through formal opportunities, through visiting learning factories. So our learning neighbourhoods emerged from that. And the key concept here that we found worked was to let locals lead. So the local steering group, they set out their plan to develop their area as an improved place for lifelong learning for all ages. And this little snapshot here reflects that. Mary and Molly, Mary was over 100 at that time, and Molly was her 2-year-old neighbour who's in the early years centre in one of our learning neighbourhoods. But all the partners, same lead partners are there, but our role is to support the plans created locally. So it's quite democratic. And again, this week we're going to celebrate the 7th learning neighbourhood joining the family in Cork. Going back a little bit to our pathway along, hosting that 3rd International Conference was a huge practical project, actually, as well as other things for those partners. And they all worked together amazingly well to deliver on that. And the 4 chief executives and presidents gave a joint keynote at the conference, but the theme of it was the one that made the bigger difference for us, that idea of sustainable development. And the policy document that came afterwards from UNESCO, calling on all of our cities to be green and healthy, equitable and inclusive, support decent work and entrepreneurship, basically to deliver on the SDGs across our learning city efforts. That has remained something that works for us as well, a kind of an international policy platform that has been adopted by Cork City Council. So our efforts around SDGs remain. There's a ticking clock on the SDGs with 5 years left. So our leadership series, which started in 2020 with 10 years to go, we'll double down on that this year with 5 years to go. And that again brought together partners, private sector partners, community and voluntary partners with the public sector. So our awards I mentioned earlier, in our case, all of the 10 layers of learning that we reflected on earlier, from early years through to active retirement and everything in between. There's an opportunity now to shine a light on the best of what is happening in our city and to celebrate that. And just like in the Lowell case, It's an occasion of joy and celebration for something that is already there and that we should be celebrating more often. So our more recent development that I wanted to share with you in more detail today is the Cork Access Network. And this was one of the early events we hosted, an online webinar. And there was a couple of things that were really key about this. One was the keynote is from the States and his work on how do access opportunities lead to success for third level, for underrepresented groups. And he's really fantastic data around Native Americans and migrants, Latino community, and other smaller representative groups. What's their story in university? And there's an awful lot to learn from that. So that was one theme we used to develop the Access Network. It has the same core partners as our Learning City. The logo is this idea of the hive, the work of the bee is never done, and constantly building new cells for honey production. So that was very conscious decision, and our name is also a conscious decision because the purpose of the Cork Access Network is to tackle educational disadvantage, but we went for a strengths-based approach. So we put the focus on access rather than disadvantage, and we've taken that theme throughout a whole range of different opportunities to bring partners together. So my way of thinking about this is we erect a big tent. There are 4 colored panels on the tent. One is access through community, access through the workplace, access through school, the typical one we think about, and access through further and higher education. So all of those 4 panels, they make up the tent of the Cork Access Network, and we bring partners together to look at what people are doing already, what projects are doing, how can they add value by linking with other partners. And there's lots more to come. So as I say, Karen Duke is on the call today and may be happy to take some of your questions. So our work with the networks, and I want to again thank the host of today. Your work in North America inspires me because you are doing it. Without, at this point, still being able to join with the UNESCO family, you know that we care a lot about what happens in the States, and we want to, again, state our solidarity with that. If you look closely at the photograph taken in 2019, you'll see Annalisa, one of our hosts today, is featured there. That was a discussion on how to form a European and North American learning city. Also in that photograph is Balash, who's on the call, I know, and that was supported by the UNESCO Institute of Lifelong Learning, who attended, and they gave us, I suppose, their blessing to go on and do that. And there's renewed focus on that this year, leading into next year. But other opportunities we had to work with you in the meantime included focusing on health and well-being. And then back to our own island of Ireland, we have a strong network there, and Waterford has now joined that, so we now have 6 learning cities in Ireland. And then briefly, just to conclude, I just want to reflect on our new challenge, which is around climate change and the focus we have on that. And that's feeding also into the 6th International Conference on Learning Cities that Alex mentioned. In our case, we brought cities from all over the world together again this year. Each shared a short example of good practice. Again, from the States, we had Austin represented. Lowell have been there on a number of occasions. I want to thank Peg for her our support, really, and our commitment to being part of our discussions. We had representatives from Thailand, from South Africa, and from France, and it was a really healthy exchange all around the topic of learning for sustainable development. And our own panel locally, if you see it there, and again, Lowell would have a lot of work in common with this. We were bringing together strong examples from across the partners, including those at community level, a partner of our Education Board and the Environmental Forum. So just, this is our city. You're always welcome. Please come if you can during our festival. It's the best time to visit in our view. We try and connect across learning, health, culture. We're an age-friendly city. We're a child-friendly city. We're a trauma-informed city. So we always try and work in a holistic way. And we love to share that and to have you share with us. So if you can come next year on the 2nd of April, that will start the festival. And on the 3rd will be our seminar. I want to thank you again for the opportunity. And I'll hand back to you, Christy. And I'm happy to take questions, or as I say, I would like maybe Karen to also step in. Thanks, Christy.
Wonderful.